Hi, I'm Mota.
I'm from Portugal, I'm Luciana.
I'm from Portugal, I'm Hugo.
Hi, I'm Madalena.
Hi from Portugal, I'm Anna.
Hi, I'm Almeida.
I'm from Portugal, I am Johann.
We are students of the Master's degree in Community Psychology from ISPA, and we are here to talk about our Photo Voice project in Bairro Alto.
So, what is Photo Voice? Photo Voice is a collaborative method of investigation that values both scientific and experiential knowledge. It is based on taking photographs and then having a discussion about it, and it promotes critical thinking and consciousness. Photo Voice empowers people and can contribute to social change, as research created side by side with the participants can impact the reality in a broader level.
Laid out in 1513, first there were people connected to the sea, then the Jesuits, and after them the nobility. Bairro Alto survived the earthquake, and fado spread across the streets. Salazarism brought the neighborhood to a shutdown, but by the late 18th it was home to several newspaper offices. Then came the bars to serve the journalists who left work late at night, and those were followed by brothels. Soon, Bairro Alto became synonymous with a bohemian lifestyle, and by the late 80s it was where everyone went to in the late hours, creating street parties every Friday and Saturday night.
In this study, the students were both researchers and participants. So, upon our arrival at this stunning place, we divided the class into 3 groups. 2 groups of 2 and 1 group with 3 students. We decided to do this so that we could have a bigger chance of finding distinct situations inside the neighborhood. Each group started from a different street, and once inside, we had just one purpose: get lost and take pictures of whatever caught our attention. Afterward, we had to answer 5 questions about our photos to help us expand our feelings and comprehension of our own work. We had to describe what we were seeing, what was happening in a picture, how that relates to our own lives, why that specific situation exists, and what could we do about it. So, with this in mind, let's see the results of that adventure.
This image spoke to me because I think it represents a little bit of what Bairro Alto is, besides the drinking and the partying that is now famous for. This little open door, to me, it represents a community that trusts each other, a community that cares for each other and that takes care of each other. So a closed door, it's like a stay away, but an open door, it's a come on in, you are welcome. For me, this simple sentence translates what is the crash of 2 different worlds, one of tradition, of fado and culture, and the other one of fun, of youth and of evolution. A place where the quiet of the day is transformed in a troubled and loud night. A place that brought together 2 different worlds and that is constantly adapting and evolving while maintaining its identity.
So in the next picture, we can see tiny tiles, azulejos, that indicate the entrance to the Byzantine bookstore. In that space, there was once stories, some to read before sleep, some to inform, and some to help us navigate in the vast spectrum that are emotions. The important thing was that all of them had something in common, as they gathered the community and families in a single space. Right now, the star no longer exists, which represents the ending of a particular world. Several factors can have led to this ending, but we, as a society, should strive to give the necessary support to historical stars as a form to preserve the cultural patrimony and service that make a community what it is. In my opinion, the second photo connects to the first in a way that reminds me of the complexities of the old historical neighborhood, all the streets, the business, the people that live in it and that come together in specific spots to communicate and share. Thank you.
In this picture, we can see a poster on a wall where the positive words love and light in someone's t-shirt contrast with a bleeding sheep on its plate. First of all, and more obviously, it raises the issue of animal exploitation and suffering. Why do we care about some species' rights and freedom and mistreat others? Secondly, it touches on the matter of sustainability, since the production of meat causes big damages to the environment and requires much more resources than a plant-based diet, which points to veganism as a more efficient and conscious option in the context of rising global food and water insecurity. Finally, more than ever, we can't forget that animal consumption is an important factor in the occurrence of new diseases. So, in a way, a vegan lifestyle could also help to reduce the occurrence of new epidemics. Here we can see an empty bottle in a hole in the wall. For some, it can be seen as trash, but it also can be understood as a hidden sign of what once happened there. This picture shows the traces of the fun and party that surrounds the neighborhood. It made me wonder what else is hidden inside those walls that we can't see, how many stories happen there, and how many secrets remain unexplored. It also raises the question of what mark do we want to leave behind to people who will come to a place after us.
Bairro Alto is an open-air gallery exhibiting one of the greatest artistic movements of the 21st century. Unfortunately, many people consider this area to be dirty and a vandalized place. This area is a very popular meeting point for both locals, tourists and artists alike, occupying its busy streets. At the beginning of the 20th century, it was considered a social problem being destroyed by graffiti. However, nowadays, graffiti is one of the main influential art movements. The walls of Bairro Alto show a coexistence of creators, writers and artists coming from all walks of life and backgrounds. We like to think that it demonstrates a form of surrealism, a creative movement demanding the participation of different authors, working separately from each other and unknowingly co-creating a collective piece. The result of this is an enigmatic, avant-garde and amazing work of art. What is filth for some is in fact an aesthetic and political code for others, a new form of communication in a public space. Graffiti contributes to the characterization of Bairro Alto and stimulates the artistic and sometimes political views.
Hello. Now here we can see a man clearly playing with his cat. This man works at this site. It's like a construction site. That's why he's a little bit dirty on his clothes. And he's playing with the neighborhood cat. The cat just wanders around the neighborhood. The cat obviously seems very comfortable with the man, with the presence of the man. And at the same time, the man seems to have a kind of intimacy of someone who plays with this cat every single day, as if it was his own, as if it was his daily companion. Hello. So, here we can see characters of Fado Portuguese music, in blue ink, drawn into the azulejos. Azulejos, I won't translate it as tiles, as sometimes it is usually done, because that's a very different thing. It's not something you put in your bathroom, but it's an art. It's like a craft. It's a Portuguese traditional art for exhibition like this one. The beautiful blue azulejos are in front of this tasca, which is like a simple restaurant or a simple bar, if you will. And altogether, there are the sardines on top, which are also very typical food in Portugal. The names of those characters of bairro, of fado, are engraved in the blue azulejos, and some carry with it the names the Prince of Fado or a King Without a Crown.
Flower companions. Here we can see a balcony covered with plastic flowers, clothes drying, a broken window, and a dog peeking through. This image makes me think about how people like having pets and how domestic animals are included in the cities. Many of these animals, especially big dogs, might not have much freedom or space to live a happy, comfortable life. Building more green areas and parks could be the answer. But critically think about animal rights and our relationships as humans with the animals, especially domestic animals, also seems relevant. In this sense, it is important to raise awareness to responsible adoption and animal rights. Who lives here, after all? Bairro Alto is a very noisy place to live in due to the bars and parties that happen till late hours. Here we can see a sign that asks for quiet and respect, but there is a contradiction between the message of the graffiti and where it was painted, in a hostel. This is something that is happening all over Lisbon. Gentrification and the speculation of the housing market. We can't clearly tell who lives in Bairro Alto anymore. There is an urge to preserve the houses, to prioritize long-term rentals, and to isolate the houses in order to protect the people against the noise.
Well, this photo is entitled Músicas de uma época esquecida, which literally means songs from a forgotten time. These music cassettes were run over and had their brains scattered across the street, making them unable to be heard again. I bet that they were once part of moments of fun and happiness, of dancing and sharing, but now they have fallen into oblivion, as do some of our most cherished memories. So, in a way, it also shows us that we should celebrate what we have been through, and how that makes us what we are today, even if we no longer find joy in those same moments. This one is called Gerações de Toque, which means ringing generations. And as the title suggests, we can see different doorbells from different generations that lived in this house. Some are broken and no longer serve their purpose, and some can still be used. Everything has its time, and it's okay to move on. It's okay to replace what no longer works as intended. Nonetheless, some things can still endure. As we can see on the photo, some doorbells can still be answered and can still be used to pull us out of the comfort of our homes. They still hold the power to make us go into a world full of life and full of adventures, just waiting to become our memories. So, why don't you touch them and see what kind of stories lie ahead?
So, as you saw, each photo we took expresses something important that caught our attention. As we analyzed the images, we found that we could create a range of themes that appear. Those were tradition, emotion, environmental traits, art, culture, and activism. Each expressed at the same time a preoccupation, value, and the subjectivity of each one of us. Also, they show the topics that are most available in our natural environment context.
Give us clarity about the existing problems and conditions of the specific context of Bairro Alto. Furthermore, it was a fun way of gathering data and analyzing it, making us learn and getting to know more about the neighborhood.
This photo voice experience shows the way pictures can reveal how the many dimensions of reality interconnect to create our subjectivity and well-being. Our values and notions of beauty depict a bairro which is both internal and external to ourselves. In instant flashes, we capture the context of Bairro Alto, at the same time that this experience was portraying how each of us we're being influenced by merely being, walking, seeing, and breathing that very context. Doing photo voice, in a way, is a process of both capturing the moment, the undeniable truths of some place, and also being captured by it. Bairro Alto is a very alive place, and that shows even in times of pandemic, in which its movement and dynamism is affected by the lack of people, the lack of exchanges and relationships that often occurs in every alley and corner of Bairro Alto streets. In this exceptional circumstance, Bairro visitors and regulars were deprived of becoming the context of Bairro Alto for some time, for a day stroll or for a night of its nightlife. Nonetheless, we had this opportunity, and the results of it are better expressed in pictures than in words.
In concrete terms, if reflecting about it, we found recurrent themes that verbalized what we found in Bairro Alto in a way. Themes like tradition, emotion, environmental traits, art, culture, and activism were the most common, and by looking at that, we have an idea of the kind of intensity of the place we are talking about. Bairro Alto is in fact a diverse and multicultural place that contains both tradition and modernity of being a fully globalized point of meeting. A scenario where everything can happen, everyone can meet, and all of that with a strong touch of the Portuguese shine.